This week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast is brought to you by listeners like you. Head on over to patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast and subscribe today. Fans, founders, and insiders like you help us keep the Run, Eat, Drink podcast going, and we thank you for your support.
I'm Bart Yasso, and you're listening to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast.
Welcome to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We feature destination races from across the country, and after the race, we take you on a tour of the best local food and beverage to celebrate. So whether you are an elite runner or a back of the packer like us, you'll know the best places to accomplish, explore, and indulge on your next runcation. Hey, welcome to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast, episode 181. I'm your host, Amy.
And I'm your co-host, Dana.
I think I said things in the reverse.
How so?
Like, don't I normally say it differently?
I think so.
Yes.
But we have been so busy with travel and trying to get back into a normal swing. And then we've got some other stuff going on. It's just been hectic. So that you got an intro out at all is a success. Congratulations.
Yay! Welcome to episode 181 of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We're your hosts. We're happy to be here, and we have an amazing show for you this week.
We really do. This is the one we looked so forward to for so long, this being the week that we're going to talk about the Anchorage RunFest.
We could talk about it for hours.
We are going to talk about it for hours over the course of several weeks, but
Yes.
Much of that is going to be patron-only content, so they get some extra special stuff, but we've got amazing content for everyone on today's show because we're going to be talking about the RunFest itself in total.
Yes, the RunFest itself, it is a festival that celebrates all distances of running.
Yeah, they have a 1 miler, a 5K,
Yes.
a half marathon, and a unique distance.
Yes, they also have a marathon.
A marathon.
You just jumped straight to the unique aspect.
That's not shorter than the marathon, is it? I was trying to go in order of distance.
49K?
49K. I don't know. I don't know if that's longer than a marathon.
You know who would
or
know
not.
that? Greg in Orlando would know that.
He probably would. Yeah, so they've got all of those distances to run. And then we have just
30 miles. It's just over 30 miles.
Okay. So I was wrong. I was trying to do it in order. I got it wrong.
So if you go in descending order, it's 49K, the marathon, which you could walk or run, because there is a walking category for the marathon. Then you also have the half marathon, which is on the same course. And you have the 5K, which is on the same course. Very smart.
Oh, yeah.
Very smart. And then you also have the day before, you have a bevy of 1 mile races and kids races too.
Yes.
So it is a festival that celebrates all populations of running, a variety of distances, and the unique one that you mentioned.
Yeah, but we're going to be talking about the two distances that we ran in this year's Anchorage RunFest.
The 1 miler and the 5K.
And then we are going to follow that up with amazing food and beverage from the greater Anchorage, Alaska area.
Oh, yes. We had a classic steakhouse meal.
We really do. Oh, yeah, we did.
But I was on a mission, and we'll talk about that when we get to the
food portion.
Yes, the exploring, eating portion of our show at Simon and Seafort's.
Yes.
We're going to explore that. Thank you to one of our friends of the show who recommended that for us.
Yes, Marko Cheseto, you are the man for telling us about this place.
Perfection.
And when it comes to the beverages, you know, what I love about Anchorage, aside from the natural beauty in the surrounding area, the people who live there are just incredibly friendly. I love that it's a military friendly town.
Me too.
The options for breweries and distilleries.
Yes. And the last time we went prior to the pandemic, 2019, we explored many breweries. And like you said, we have some bonus content because we just couldn't stay away from them. We had to see if they were still there, if they were still doing it, if they had new and exciting different beers on their menus. But we decided to go a little bit of a different path.
Yes.
In celebrating our races.
Yes. So we're going to be toasting our accomplishment with some insanely good spirits from Anchorage Distillery.
In amazing cocktails.
Yes.
Fabulous. Anchorage Distillery.
So that is a look forward at this week's episode. So let's talk running, and let's start out with any running updates, training updates. As we are recording this, we just got back. We just returned from our trip to the Great Smoky Mountains and doing the Smoky Mountain 5K. And we're going to have some incredible stuff for you guys from that race in the next couple of weeks. But
including shout outs at this very moment. Congratulations to Darlene, JoJo, and Susie.
Yes.
On their half marathons and Black Bear doubles. And shout out to Tina, Jennifer Fink's friend, who came, who met up with us, and actually just crushed the 5K, which we'll talk about in that episode when we talk about our visit to Tennessee.
Absolutely. But I was just going to say, coming back off of that, we are recovering from back-to-back travel.
Yeah.
So we've just gotten re-caught up with all of our laundry.
Yes.
And unpacking.
That is.
And then we had our first day back at work.
Entirely true. Entirely true. We need to plan travel.
I think this is her way of saying she needs to plan travel.
We need to plan extra time when we travel to destinations. I think we did a great job in Alaska.
Yes.
I think we needed more time in the Smokies.
Oh, without a doubt.
That's just my opinion. Because I'm just so excited to be traveling to destination races and actually doing what it is our mission to do.
Absolutely.
To accomplish, explore, and indulge. I am so excited. Sorry, I just went off.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say any updates for everybody regarding training.
I need to do better.
Stop. I saw you on Instagram this morning doing that was your second workout of the day, because I woke up to you doing yoga this morning. So I know you started your day with yoga. And
I'm trying to work on flexibility, but I really need to focus on the drills and speed work with Jeff ahead of our November races.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Did we update everybody last week? I don't remember.
We might have said something in the live chats last week.
Yeah. Okay. So we do have a race update and a change to our running calendar. I think you're right.
We have to modify the website. We haven't done that yet.
I think you're right. I think that we mentioned this in a live event, but we received notice that the Conch Republic 10K and the associated races around that
race,
which was our scheduled October race for travel, has been canceled because the county pulled the permits.
Yeah, we did mention it on the live last Wednesday.
Okay.
Before our travel. So yes, we just haven't updated the website because of all the travel surrounding what happened. So it all came at once.
This is literally our first time sitting down in front of the computer.
How are you?
Now that I realize we need to make that change, I'm like, okay, we need something. If somebody's got an idea for a destination race that they think we should be running in the month of October, and there's something you can think of, shoot it to us, let us know, and info@runeatdrink.net, and just send us a link to the race so we can check it out. We'd love to fill that hole in our race calendar. But so that's one little race update, but you're training. You're hitting those 2-a-days still.
Yes. I'm trying to work on flexibility, and I need to be more focused in the running workouts, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's my mission, and that's my update. I know that we have just awesome races to talk about here in the running segment. So
We do.
That's in a nutshell and to the point, my update. You?
My update. Yet again, I have not failed.
Oh my God.
No, I actually made a conscious choice to reschedule and push when I'm going to start my day one on my redo of the 75 hard challenge. We got to talking while we were traveling for the Smokies, and it came to the decision it didn't make a whole lot of sense for me to be doing that and missing out on what we had to sample up in the Smokies. And with the way the scheduling is going to work with the holidays and everything else, it was okay for me to push that and restart that this week. So that's what's going to happen. So that part changed. I'm still doing the 2-a-day workouts. I'm still doing my gallon of water. I'm still eating aside from when we were in the Smokies, and definitely not the food we're going to be talking about in today's episode in Alaska.
Not in Alaska, my friend.
Still doing the plant-based eating. So that all has been great.
Yeah.
Still seeing the results. Pants are looser. Just everything's working out. I just want to be able to say I got the 75 hard done. That's going to be the big thing for me
Yeah.
starting this week. So it's perfectly fine, but that is my update. I think that some people saw in the social media feed, they saw, like, I was sharing the photos that it auto generates of the calendar showing that it's done, and
Like
then,
your progress.
yeah, the progress thing. We
Photos.
saw those. Don't be shocked if you're checking out our social media feed and you see it back at day one. That is not going to be a misprint. That is me making the conscious choice, not having a screw up. That was legitimately one I went, this is what I'm going to do. So all good. And then, we've just been, the main running update for this week is just going to be the running we were doing. And let's talk specifically about Alaska, shall we?
I love this race weekend. I absolutely do.
And I was thrilled to hear that they were able to bring it back. And let's start with just a quick tip, a pro tip for people who are going to be traveling maybe to Alaska.
Oh,
if you're not in that area, give yourself, like, this is one where you don't want, as we learned.
This is where you're owning up to planning the travel.
This is where I owned up to planning the last trip. I definitely cut us too short. This time we actually gave ourselves enough time, and it made all the difference in our ability to go and enjoy and do and see things in the area. So keep in mind that if you don't live up in Alaska,
if you live at the furthest point from Alaska,
it is almost an entire day of travel each way. So factor that in to when you're traveling to go there. Even if you live in the Pacific Northwest, it's still 6 hours in the air, roughly. Keep that in mind. The Mercator map is a liar.
Worth it?
Oh, 100%.
You just got to save up that time off from work, my friends, and
factor it in.
Factor in a larger chunk, maybe even larger than what we did this time.
Oh, we could have gone for 2 more days and we would not have been bored, and we would have had even more for the podcast.
Yeah.
You can't see it all.
No.
And we ended up doing a Thursday to Tuesday. And there's still so much to see and do.
Oh, yeah.
Factor that in, but it's one of those trips, right now, this time of year, it's the height of their tourist season. Hotels are hard to come by. Rental cars are almost impossible to come by. And
well, I think we were successful with Uber and Lyft.
We very much were.
In that city, you can get it done without renting a car.
Oh,
So let's just say that.
If you're staying in the city.
Yeah, if you're staying in the city, if you play it smart with your hotel, your Airbnb, whatever it is that you do for accommodations, then you could Uber and Lyft.
100%. But if you're planning on doing big excursions and you're going to go do some of the stuff like go out to Denali or whatever else, that's where you're going to have to get a rental car.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. And I think the going price for rental cars up there, and I'm not talking like the really high end stuff. Going price was $300 to $400 a day for a rental car.
That it's crazy. Right, I think that we situated ourselves. We stayed downtown last time.
Yes.
And we situated ourselves in Midtown this time.
And I thought that worked out really well.
It really did. Last time we stayed at a hotel where we could walk to the races, which is, so if you stay in the downtown area, then you can walk to the races.
Yes.
If you stay in Midtown, Uber and Lyft are readily available and it's perfect.
No more than a 10-minute drive. And that was
inexpensive.
Certainly much less expensive than the rental car prices. So that worked out great for us. So that's just little travel tips if you're looking at going up to the Anchorage area.
Yeah.
And then, of course, this time of year, because it is their summer.
Yes.
The weather is phenomenal.
Oh, like highs in the 70s.
Highs in the 70s, lows in the 40s.
And, well, I say 50s when we were there.
Technically, it said that the mornings when we were walking out to breakfast, it was like 46.
Really?
Technically.
Okay.
But I don't know if we actually got out the door before it climbed up above the 50 mark.
Ah, okay.
But it was
regardless
gorgeous.
It's such a contrast to Florida because the feels like temperature is legitimately the temperature.
Yes. That was so funny. We are so used to using our weather app and you hit and you see what the feels like is. And here you get a pretty good move when you switch from the actual temperature to the feels like. And then up there, I was like, is this app broken? Because it's because of the low humidity relative to Florida.
It was lovely.
I thought so.
Lovely.
So we got up there, and let's start with the beginning of the RunFest itself.
Oh yeah.
Packet pickup.
We flew in on Friday, so we picked up our packets the morning of the 1 miler, which was Saturday, and then the longer races are on Sunday, if you're looking at the schedule. Now, the last time we were there, they had an expo.
They did.
And this time we were curious about physical distancing and how that would impact the pre-race experience.
And what did you think? Because you certainly couldn't call what they did this year an expo. Oh. This was just a legitimate packet pickup.
Pick up your T-shirts, check out the medals. There was one table of swag, like cups, I think coffee cups. Shirts, extra shirts, a preview of the medals, that kind of thing. And I think there was some artwork as well.
There was. Yes. I believe the artwork was from the same artist that did the art that
on the shirts,
they used for the shirt.
Which are gorgeous, which we should show off on a live.
Yes.
And I just, so it was a simple room inside of a hotel, a Marriott, I believe. And they were very efficient and very organized in terms of traffic flow. Couldn't be nicer folks.
No, they were incredibly nice.
Oh, yeah.
And you could tell that they were not wanting too many people in the room with the shirts at the same time.
Yeah.
They're managing the in and out, but the whole time they were being as nice and friendly as they possibly could be. So it wasn't like you felt hurted.
No, they had plenty of people doing check-in for bibs. They had plenty of people. I want to say it's like 5-6 people. They had stations.
Did we really wait?
No.
Yeah, it
No.
was almost walk right up.
Yeah. And the people who were managing the line were so nice, showing us like the posters of the course and then talking about other races.
Yeah.
So
we did get a line on a race, I think, in the Carolinas, as I recall.
As I recall, that's a very hilly race, and we might want to look into comparing that to America's prettiest race that we've already done in Kentucky, because I feel like it would be very hilly.
Might have to do some hill work.
Based on what the gentleman said. But so it felt like we waited no time. We picked up our 5K bibs. The longer distances were available at this packet pickup experience. And then if you opt to do a combination, if you opt to do a 1 miler, then you pick up your bib at the 1 miler that morning.
Yes.
And it was nice and easy. They had plenty of people there, the volunteers, everybody associated with this race. Shout out to Tina, who does the social media.
Yep.
Tina Lamb. And shout out to race director emeritus, who was there to help, Sharon, who told us to tell Jeff Galloway hello.
Yeah, it was really nice because we went from the Marriott, and you're probably 4 blocks from where the 1 miler was going to be held.
Yeah, it was nothing.
It's a short walk. It's a straight shot.
Yeah.
And
super easy.
We walked over. They were still setting up at the time when we walked over.
Well, we were early.
We were.
We were not sure.
That was just it. I was afraid that we were going to be in some huge line and it was going to be one of those where we weren't going to have enough time to get over to the race and find everything.
Very smooth.
It was super smooth.
Yeah.
In fact, we had enough time to get coffee and just take it in. But we walked over to the park. Mm-hmm. We found the booth for the 1 miler.
Yeah.
And
super easy.
Got everything attached, got some coffee, hung out, got photos and video. We did a live stream that morning from the 1 miler. So much so, we were covering all the other races except our own.
Yeah. We were the last heat to go. We could have done it differently. They were very flexible, and they had a women's heat. They had a men's start. They had a military mile, and then they had the community mile.
Yeah, and we ran the community mile, and
which is last.
I love the fact that they do these because you get such a great mix of runners. The women's race, of course, it's all women of varying skill levels.
Yeah,
and same with the men's. And then the military is the mixture, and your only requirement to run it is your prior service.
Yeah.
Or current or prior service.
Did you not see there were some people who did the women's, the men's, and the military?
You read my mind. That was where I was getting. I thought that was so cool.
That was awesome.
And then a lot of them did the community race too. And you had just this awesome, welcoming feeling.
Oh, yeah.
And when we got there to the park initially, and we should talk about the park. This is their veterans. I want to say it's Veterans Park. It's a big quadrangle, and it's basically a lap and a half around this quadrangle.
Delaney Park
strip.
Yeah.
But they have a veterans memorial adjacent to this park.
Yes.
And you do your lap and a half basically around there for the mile.
Yeah.
I mean, and they don't have to do a lot of traffic control. It's a flat course.
Yes.
It's all paved. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot to dislike about this. And the whole time, when we first get there, they're getting the kids all charged up, and they've got...
the kids race, the 2K, right?
Yeah, and they are doing like a warm-up with the kids, and Marko Cheseto is up there helping get the kids charged up and ready to run. It was the most adorable thing to see him leading the kids in warm-up exercises.
Yes.
And Bart, Yasso,
yeah,
who, of course, we have had on the show, and
such a great guy.
He
Both of them
was just working the crowd as the announcer.
Can I tell you that he, at this weekend, this is why we need to go earlier. Because on Friday,
Even earlier.
Yes, even earlier. Yes, we did better this time. Clearly.
Yes.
But we missed a movie night on Thursday, and we missed shakeout runs with Bart Yasso on Friday morning and Saturday morning.
Yeah, now that would have been a lot of fun to do. We took the Thursday to prepare and get ready to travel.
we had
and then we
to.
did the travel day on Friday.
Yeah, we had to, but I would love to have done. We enjoy so much that social shakeout run as part of the Donna, and it's just a great way to preview part of the course. It's a great way to meet other runners. That's how we met Andy Sharp and the Bouncy Hunters in Jacksonville. So I would like to, if we do go back, or if anybody is interested in doing this race weekend, shakeout runs are such a great time for easy exercise and to meet just like-minded, positive people.
Yeah, I was actually going to liken the 1 miler to the social shakeout run, but
Yes.
for us, that was our shakeout run. But
Yeah.
I 100% agree with what you're saying. I think that is it's the best way, if a race weekend is offering that, to really get the full experience.
And you meet people, you form friendships that are so long term.
100%.
And
you met some pretty incredible runners at this race.
Oh, we did. You and I both did.
Yes, but I've got pictures of you with them.
Yeah, there's the Children's Hospital at Providence, the kids 2K run. Okay. And we are live streaming. You can go back on YouTube on our live videos and you could actually see us filming the finish of that race, I believe, before you needed to recharge your phone.
Yeah, the battery was dying.
Yeah. And to see this mother and this daughter, Naya Evans Peacock is the daughter, and Kiana Peacock is the mother. So the daughter it's a mother-daughter pair running, and the daughter is just cooking along in her wheelchair. She is, the upper body fortitude and strength that you saw this young lady exhibit was so inspiring.
She was a machine.
She was. Mom was there helping her, especially because the 2K for the kids, if you bring your kids and they do this, the 2K it finishes on the quad. So
in the grass.
Yeah, in the grass. So there's some grassy, so Mom was helping her to navigate that. And it was just, they were such positive people, and she was on a mission, and you could see it in her face. Because we caught a glimpse of her on the road.
Yes.
Before the finish, coming in on the grass, on the quad. And she people like her, people like Marko.
Yeah, they're absolutely just some of the most inspiring runners that you see. And she had absolutely no quit in her. None. And I'm like, man, I need to be more like that. That was just amazing to see.
Yeah.
And she was just the sweetest little thing.
I know.
At the end, and was so kind to, she and her mom took a photo with you.
Yes.
And that was such a great positive way to start our weekend of running.
And I'm going to post that on its own in our social media feed.
Yeah.
Because it deserves that. It's
100%. She's
it was great.
Awesome.
was great.
And of course, you've heard us talk about Bart Yasso, who's the chief running officer for Runner's World.
Running.
And then Marko Cheseto, who we've had both of these gentlemen on the show before. He's the world record holder for double amputees.
In the marathon distance.
Yeah,
And he's going to go after it again at Boston in October.
I can't wait. And
man,
we, as we move into the next day's run, those names are going to come up again.
Oh, even before the next day's run, because they had a pasta lunch for all of us.
Oh, yes. Well, that was what I was referring to. Is like as we move into, move on. After this, we had
They call it a pasta feed.
It really was too.
Pasta feed.
Now that one, you basically had to walk back towards downtown for the pasta feed.
Yeah, it wasn't really all that far.
No, it was about 4 blocks, right near the Marriott where Packet Pickup is.
Yeah,
and
right outside a place called Flat Top Pizza.
Yes, and they put on quite a spread.
It was so good.
Yeah, so we got to sit and carb up.
We did.
And enjoy.
Not that we really needed it. We ate like, I think
we ate like
we were running,
ultra marathoners.
Yeah, 49K. But it was good though. They had a great basil pesto sauce. That was just delightful. So if you get an opportunity to swing by there, I know we're still talking about the running, but that was quite delicious.
It was.
Yes.
And then, of course, we got to enjoy some talks from both Bart and Marko.
Yeah, you think it's bad? I was like, let me just be right up front.
No, I don't think it was bad at all.
Right up front.
They knew that we were just enjoying the heck out of hearing what they had to say.
Because we interviewed Marko on the show remotely.
Yes.
We did a phone interview with him, or FaceTime interview.
About 2 years ago.
Yeah. And Bart was the same way. It was like a Zoom call or video call.
It was, in fact, a Zoom call, yes.
And to see them in person, you'll have to forgive me, patrons, when we post the interviews that they so graciously granted us at this pasta feed after we ate.
Somebody was fangirling.
Because I was fangirling. I was like, we've waited for 2 years to be with these people again in person and to be steps away, to have them use our microphones. Okay.
Never going to watch these microphones again.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Inspiring people. It was not... Neither one of those was a very focused interview because I was just...
It was just friends talking, which was great.
I was just wanting to show appreciation and give some inspiration from these people who have given us so much.
Absolutely.
Through their running careers and running journeys.
And on the next day, which is when we ran the 5K, what we like about this course is that it actually shares the main part of the course with all of the race distances.
I love that, and I love that it's a closed course.
Closed course, out and back.
Yeah.
The course was very familiar. In fact, for us, it was identical, except we just cut it short because the last time we ran, we did the half marathon.
Which I would totally do again. And what's good about that half marathon is there's no time pressure.
Well, right, because they've got the 49K going.
The 49K and the marathon and the walking marathon, you can take your time, and it's the kind of race. We talk about different race weekends where it's not about time. There are races that you run for time, yes.
Of course.
And there's a lot of energy and enthusiasm and pushing yourself. And you pick those races appropriately. Maybe you've done them in the past in the course and you can push it and get your proof of time or your PR or whatever that may be. This is a course to enjoy the people, enjoy the sights, enjoy the scenery.
Oh, without a doubt. This race course takes us right down by the inlet the water. You're running with the water to your right, and you've got things going on as we're trotting down the closed path of, I believe it's a state park.
Yeah.
This is a multi-use path.
Once you get there, the start is in the city, and then you go in downtown. And then once you're in the park, it is just gorgeous, and there's no pressure, and it's closed off, and you can just enjoy scenery that is unlike where we come from.
Oh, certainly. Yeah,
In
mountains
Florida.
in the distance, beautiful water, the Alaskan Railway, which went right by us again on this run.
And you were specifically excited about scenery and people on the course as well.
Oh, I was. And I love, of course, the natural beauty is fantastic. I love the fact that we got to see the iconic Alaskan Railway. 2 years ago when we ran this, we're trotting along and I hear what sounds like bagpipes in the distance, thinking somebody's, playing this on a speaker. No, it's actually a bagpipe band practicing in a local park. Lo and behold, they were back out there again.
And you were wearing your kilt, so
I was fully decked out. I actually had my McPherson tartan kilt on. I was actually running in long kilt socks or kilt hose, tartan flashes, the whole 9 yards.
yeah, everything.
And I went up and listened to them for a bit and took selfie, got a little video, and got back down on the race course to catch up to you.
Yeah.
Before the 5K turnaround.
And the video when you showed it to me, I took photos of you taking photos of, it was very meta.
Very meta.
Very meta. But it was just great to see you enjoy that. And then this was just a beautiful course. Loved seeing the railway. Would love to be there longer so that we could actually take the railway
Oh, absolutely.
and explore more of Alaska.
Yeah. And
some other locals are like, hey, make sure that you come back in a different part of the year.
yes, they're wanting us to try out winter. I'm like,
Yeah, they're like,
they want to see the Florida people freezing.
Yeah, try out the winter because it's different.
Yes.
So
I think that's a fair statement. It's different. Yeah. I also like the fact that we had some local residents right there in the area. Just as you came off of the city street and you made the turn right into the state park to begin the closed portion of the run.
Yes.
You had some citizens who just popped out from their house and were singing and playing guitar and cheering everybody on.
with their dog.
Yeah.
It was great. They had like an Australian Shepherd, was it?
I think so.
It was just all the things you love about race. Fellow runners, back of the packers who don't, like us, who don't have to worry and who can make the most of the race entry fee, like the shirt that I wore says. And seeing inspirational runners as well, like Bart emceeing the whole entire race. He is a man with no quit. He was there all throughout for every runner finishing.
He was. And what was great as we were completing the 5K, we're coming back in. We've come out of the park. We're coming back in downtown. Amy and I I believe we were doing a little bit of a live feed then.
I think we were doing a video.
Or was it just a video?
I think we did that on video.
We have the video going, I've got the camera going. We're talking, we're trotting in, and all of a sudden I feel a hand on my shoulder and Marko just goes flying past me.
Bam.
And
He was doing the half marathon.
He was doing the half marathon.
Yeah.
And we got to come in right behind Marko Cheseto on the course.
Yeah.
That gave you an extra boost of wanting to see him finish and cross. And
Yeah, when he did that and he blew past us and made the final turn before where the race arch was, I was like, oh, we got to get there. We got to see him cross. We have to hear Bart call him in and congratulate him.
And we were able to round the corner and get into the final straightaway to hear that.
Yes.
Which was fantastic. And then, of course, Marko kept on running.
Yeah, we finished.
He had to do a cool down.
Yeah.
And then he was getting right on a plane, I believe, right after the race. From what when we talked to him the day before.
Yeah, getting back to family, getting back to training for Boston. And he's been very instrumental in that race. I believe this will be the very first year that Boston will offer prize money in a category, and Marko for double amputees, or like Marko. It's the first year, and he's been instrumental in advocating for that.
Yeah.
And I just wish him all the luck in the world. He doesn't need it.
Oh, he is so fast.
But he's an amazing person. His smile is out of this world. His attitude is just contagious.
It really is. And his story is just incredible.
So special to see him.
Seeing him finish and then getting to talk with him.
Oh,
what a great weekend.
Yeah.
It really was. And it made that 5K run that much more special. And of course, as we're coming in, Bart,
this was great too.
Yeah, Bart announces us, calls our names, and announces the podcast. That was so sweet of him to do that.
It was.
And then it was just such a neat day.
And the medals were different too. The last time we ran this, it was like a gold and purple iridescent kind of design. And this one has just elevated artwork.
Yeah, both medals for the 1 miler and the 5K look very similar. It's basically the identical or almost identical medal with a color difference and a slight difference in some of the verbiage on the medal.
Yeah,
but
like it's a mile. I think the purple ribbon was the half. They had different color ribbons.
They did, but also remember the men's, the women's, the military, I believe they all had their own separate color of ribbon as well.
So I think that was really smart. All the different races had different color ribbons.
Liked that.
And it color matched to the color on the medal itself at the bottom, where it highlights the race distance.
Which I just noticed.
Yeah. So very different from the last time we ran this race series.
Yeah, and this is a nicely sculpted fish jumping out of water with mountains in the background and trees, and it's got the Anchorage RunFest logo, and the dog agrees. The Anchorage
Danny
RunFest
loves this
logo.
medal. Yes.
This definitely, absolutely is a very Alaska themed medal.
Yeah. They both were from the last race series to this one. I really like this though. I just, whoever they have designing their shirts and their medal and their swag, so smart.
Oh yeah, the shirts are great
So
too.
smart.
It's a nice electric blue color. It's a tech shirt, so it's the moisture wicking material, but it's also got this honeycomb pattern that the cloth has in the stitching, which is, I think, really nice in terms of the texture of the material.
Yeah, it felt good.
And it's a painted brown bear.
Yeah.
On the front, and
great.
they did a great job, full color painting transferred onto the shirt. It's just gorgeous, and this is one of my favorite running shirts. In my constant need to cycle out old running shirts,
I don't think you're going to get rid of
this one's staying, and the last one that they did also is staying.
Yeah, that one was more like a gradient sunset.
And the whole shirt was the artwork as opposed to the artwork being on the shirt this time.
Yeah, I think that the honeycomb blue background was just framing and featuring the wildlife.
Yeah.
Which was great.
Perfect.
So
absolutely one of my favorite shirts. So yeah, this was
one of our favorite race weekends.
Yeah, and this absolutely goes down as one of our favorites. I think that this, without question is one that we say is a bucket list race.
Yeah.
If it's not on your bucket list, you should put it on there.
And I know that there are other
pick your
races.
distance.
Yeah, there are other races around Alaska that we should really explore. And maybe some of you have done those races and can tell us, like this. There's the Mayor's Midnight Run.
Yes.
And we're curious about that. But this, to do it multiple times, I think it's totally worth it.
Oh, 100%. Now, if next time, if we decide to go again, we'll pick a different distance. Maybe that the next time we'll do the marathon distance. Or if we want to try our hand at ultra running. Who knows?
Are you throwing that down? We have to look at time limits.
You were the one just saying that the time is not really a question since they have a walking marathon.
Okay, this about the half, because it's like, what, 7-8 hours that the walking marathon and the marathon start within a half an hour of each other.
Yeah.
So don't commit me to an ultra. That's Greg in Orlando. That's our friend who we love and miss dearly, Rob.
You would just definitely get to do a PR if you do the 49K.
That is true, because that's not a common distance.
I believe it's the only 49K out there.
Yeah.
That's the big joke, is that
Board
if you go run
state,
it, no matter how
PR.
you do, you're going to get a PR.
You finish, it's PR.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe you'll try a walking marathon, is what you're saying.
Maybe. We'll see.
Okay.
But
Regardless.
with all of this running, and in spite of the fact that we did the pasta feed, I worked up a heck of an appetite.
Yes.
And we wanted to do a special meal while we were there to celebrate getting to go back to Alaska, getting to do a travel race. This was, like we have said, the first travel race we've gotten to do since December of 2019.
Felt so good.
And we wanted to do something special. And we happened to be out to dinner here in town. And we ran into some friends and we struck up conversation.
At Nice Guys Pizza, no less.
Yeah, of all places. and our friend Mark made a comment to us. He said, "You've got to go to Simon's."
Simon and Seafort.
And he said it like I would know what he's talking about.
Yeah, I'm like, can you tell us more?
Yeah, and he gave us the full name. We didn't know anything about it, but I do know Mark.
Yes.
And Mark has amazing taste in restaurants.
Oh.
The guy knows good food. So
and
I said,
experience.
Yes.
Yeah, the experience.
And I said, if he's recommending it, we've at least got to give it a shot. There's no harm in making this one of our meals while we're there. Little did we know what we were going to be getting when we got there. And Amy was on a mission. Actually, thanks to Mark, you were able to accomplish it.
Yes. I didn't know that was the last meal before we were going to, that was our dinner, our celebratory dinner on Monday before we traveled back on Tuesday.
Yes.
And I thought, I'm never going to get king crab up here. I was on a mission to find king crab.
If you're in Alaska, you have to get Alaskan king crab.
Yeah. I was so craving it. So, I had an expectation in my mind. And you know how when you just get your heart set on something.
Yes.
And then everywhere we're looking and everything we're hearing is
sold out.
It's a tough time right now.
Yeah, Alaska was not immune to, of course, the pandemic and some of the economic effects and workforce effects of the pandemic, and that drastically impacted their fishing season.
Yeah,
and the crab boats having to get crews, and they were having issues with that. So this has contributed to some shortages.
Oh my gosh!
But Simon and Seafort's
for the win
came through.
For the win.
This place is right in downtown. It is overlooking the park.
It was really close.
It's overlooking the park where the bagpipers were.
Yeah, because we scouted it. I was on a mission.
We wanted to make sure we knew where it was at, and we were there for our reservation on time. And then when we're there, I'm like, I know this place. We did.
On that little walk as we were... I just wanted to put my little face in the window and put my little paws on the window, and you know how my little pouty face, I want Alaskan king crab. Because everywhere we go, they're out of it.
I know. And this is the type of place that I classify as a classic American steakhouse.
Accurate. You got the white tablecloths. You have just it's got the wood, that light wood all around. And the waiters are in just the ties and the white shirts, the white button-down shirts, and just very profesh.
They were.
Profesh.
And we were very well taken care of.
Oh, yeah.
And this restaurant specifically they call themselves a saloon and grill, and their logo has a very old-timey photo of Simon and Seafort. The logo doesn't really, it gives you this image of like something on the frontier or out west.
It's not like a log cabin setup.
No, and it's a lot nicer, like Amy said, like a white tablecloth dining experience, much more so than a saloon.
The view.
The view of the inlet.
We got a table next to a window. We were watching the sunset. We went about, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, something like that. And a pro tip, I made the reservation like 2 weeks in advance.
Yeah.
I don't know how the demand is right now. I'm just saying, book your time at this place. Ask for a seat by the window, because overlooking that park and the mountains and the sunset, that is the way to celebrate a great weekend of running. And
I like the fact that this place really specializes in two things: incredible steak and delicious seafood. Oh. And you're there. And in fact, their logo, I was talking about their logo is kind of old timey. Their tagline is artfully serving quality meats and sustainable seafood since 1978. So they have been doing this for a little bit.
They know what to do.
And we had a heck of a meal. So we went, let's just go down the line.
I don't know what made me want this while we were there, but I really just wanted that classic Caesar salad. I know what it is. It is the house-made olive oil croutons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a nice that's a nice touch.
And Asiago cheese?
Yeah, it depends on where you go, but yeah, quite often it's Parmesan.
I just thought that was different.
I'm with you. I love a classic Caesar. There's a certain little hint of sweetness to romaine lettuce that you don't get from iceberg. I like the texture a little bit better than iceberg. And it's love simple salad that has just a good Caesar dressing.
Let's just be real that the romaine is a dressing delivery vehicle.
Yes. Nobody's eating a Caesar salad for the healthful benefits.
I'm not. Maybe you are. I don't know.
But a good Caesar dressing with egg yolk and cheese and anchovy, and you get that and lemon, the salt, the tartness, the creaminess. It is incredible. Now,
this was great.
Cracked pepper.
Oh, I love fresh cracked pepper. I love it.
So Amy and I mirrored each other on the meal. This is one of those where we really didn't. We can't
tell you that we
go in two different directions in this particular meal.
No, and I thought you were going to go with the rock salt roasted prime rib, which looked amazing.
I was very close
because it has an au jus and the horseradish. I thought you were going to go that way.
There are a number of things we could have done in there. We went with salads as the starter. They had things on the menu like if you wanted to go with something a little richer and different, they did a macadamia nut crusted warm brie with orange blossom honey, sliced apple, and a balsamic reduction.
And we got Caesar salad.
And we went old school.
We did.
They also do a shrimp and grits starter. They do
barbecue.
Oh yeah. Yeah, New Orleans barbecue sauce is basically like a spicy butter.
Hello.
That would have been amazing. I also think that their oysters on the half shell would have been fantastic as well. But I I wasn't coming up there for oysters. I was coming up there for crab. Like
I almost thought you would be looking at the pan-seared Alaskan halibut cheeks.
If I hadn't done halibut, I believe last year or the last time we were up there at Glacier Brew House, I very well may have. They had seafood fettuccine. They, like you said, the halibut cheeks, salmon with fennel relish, almond crusted sea scallops. Their seafood sounds amazing.
We really just needed a whole group of people to order all of these things that we could try.
That would have been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, that rock salt roasted prime rib, I think, would have been delicious. But you and I came here on the same mission. And
we sat down, and before we even had the Caesar salad, we said to our waiter, do you have the king crab? Do you have the Alaskan king crab?
Oh, yeah. I think that you would have made us get up and walk out.
I would have. I'm just saying that. I'm not a rude person. I'm generally wear my heart on my sleeve, try to do everything nice possible. But I wanted that Alaskan king crab. I came on a mission. It was the last night we could possibly have it.
It really was. And what's nice is they do offer it on the menu, and you'll see it as Barents Sea Colossal Red King Crab, and it is a side.
It's a side.
For $84.
It's a side. You could get seafood and a side of...
Or you can do it as an entree for $94. Uh-huh. Now, that sounds pricey, and that's because it is. Uh-huh. This is definitely the type of meal like we got.
Yes.
Is a special occasion celebration type thing.
Yeah.
Also, that's a 20-ounce king crab.
Yes.
That is a 20-ounce. Let me say that again. When you see the episode artwork for this,
yes,
we don't actually have. There's not really a good scale photo to give you an idea, but you're talking about legs that are 18 inches long.
Yeah, I don't even
to almost 24 inches long.
I don't think there was.
And they are chunks of king crab meat that are coming out the size of a 1/4 pound hot dog.
I mean, they were cracked for us.
That was very kind of them to do that, yes. And steaming hot. Perfectly cooked. But I digress. Amy.
I'm sorry.
You were the one really on the mission for the king crab. Tell us what you thought of it.
It came out with lemon on the side. It reminded me of classic steakhouse because it had the little candle.
Oh, of course. The little votive candle that has the drawn butter on top.
Okay. And it was like a garlic lemony butter. That was magic. It's magic with seafood. You know this.
Oh,
right?
I do.
It was easily cracked, and I'm telling you, the leg meat came right out of the shell. It wasn't like this had been sitting somewhere.
No, not at all.
It was
fresh seafood, cooked to order, brought out hot.
And it was sweet, but not as sweet as the snow crab we normally get here. You know what I mean?
I do.
And the meat has a different consistency.
It's less stringy.
Yeah. And that's not a bad thing. Like the stringy nature of the snow crab, that's just a characteristic of that
particular
meat.
protein.
Yeah.
Right.
This was just whole chunks of Alaskan king crab goodness that just the butter and the lemon and just, it was so good.
It really was.
It really, and that is what I remember about it. Yeah. Just Go.
And truth be told, that 20-ounce portion is enormous. You get
We could have been happy with just that.
If you got that just as your entree, you would have been perfectly content with that, and
Totally.
you would be stuffed. Mm-hmm. We said, "Oh no, we must go way beyond that."
Yeah.
So we both opted for the 16-ounce ribeye, and they served that with garlic mashed potatoes and asparagus. And you have the option to add some things. Like I said, they had the side of the king crab that we got. They also give you the option for, instead of what they call a side, they call it an accompaniment. And they have the option to get king crab and béarnaise sauce. So you could actually have, if you wanted, you could have had some king crab meat, not nearly as much as we had in that side.
But we should have gotten
with the béarnaise sauce on top of the steak. We
totally should have gotten it. Just like, let's just be as indulgent as possible. But we did not.
No. And they have other great options as well. Grilled garlic prawns, North Atlantic lobster and a beurre blanc sauce, or pan-seared scallops as an accompaniment to their steaks.
Yeah.
Again, there's nothing you could choose from this menu that I don't think you're going to be absolutely blown away by.
That meat was cooked perfectly.
Oh, the steaks were great.
And and the potatoes, I like that they used Yukon Golds.
Kept the skin on, smashed, so you had a chunkier consistency with the mashed potatoes, a little more rustic feel. The pieces of asparagus were big. They're about as big around as my thumb, but tender. They actually did a great job at snipping away the fibrous white bases. So nice, bright green all the way through, perfectly cooked and then blanched so you didn't get mushy asparagus, because nobody likes that.
Nope.
Just an amazing execution on the steak. The steak was, like you said, perfectly cooked throughout, and we both get ours medium rare.
Yes.
They'll do
whatever you want.
To whatever temperature you want.
Which I love.
So all in all, for an indulgent celebratory meal, if you're going to go out for a nice dinner out, I don't think you can go wrong here. Yeah, to give you an idea, our 16-ounce ribeye, the steak itself is $56. Some of the other things that are on the menu, their Cajun fettuccine is $24.
It is a special occasion kind of place.
But, they do have some things that are also more approachable in terms of price, like their Chop House burger. That they serve with smoked truffle mushrooms, aged cheddar, and on a brioche bun for $18. Yeah. And then you mentioned that rock salt roasted prime rib. They have cuts starting at 12 ounces for $44 or a 16 ouncer for $50.50. So,
and you could be more economical and still get flavors of local seafood if you hover in the appetizer section.
Yes, or get a couple of things and split. Mm-hmm. I think you really couldn't go wrong.
Yeah.
But again, if you're looking to have an indulgent splurge celebratory meal,
yeah, man,
check out Simon and Seafort's if you want that classic American steakhouse experience, serving just absolutely some of the best seafood that you could get from the waters around Alaska.
Great views, great service, great food.
Yeah, nothing bad to say at all. Now, we do need to talk about drinks as well, but before we go on, we just wanted to say a quick thank you to all of our patrons of the show. You guys and your support have allowed us to do this trip that we're talking about right here, this race that we're talking about here, and enabled us to increase the quality of the coverage. We have some stuff that we recorded there at the race, using equipment that you guys helped us buy.
New mics.
By being patrons.
New, very portable mics.
That have been touched by famous people now.
Yes. And you all made that possible. You allowed us to travel to Alaska and deliver a better show than even we had in 2019. And we continue to do that thanks to your support.
At patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast, we have 3 levels of monthly support. There are going to be more coming, but $2, $5, and $10 are the current levels we have up there, and each one of those have their own special perks. Patrons get special thank you messages from us. We have a ton of patron-only content from Alaska that's going to be coming over the next couple of weeks that you guys are going to love. Mm-hmm. And patrons, that's just for you.
Just for you. Insiders, you have videos coming.
Yeah, they do.
Behind the scenes looks at tastings that we got, beverages that were created right before our eyes, and you will see that. You will have special access to interviews, tastings of foods that didn't make the show.
Yeah.
And were fantastic.
Yeah. This trip is going to be a boon for the patrons. I'm so excited to share this with them. But listen, the show itself is always going to be free.
Indeed.
And this is just an opportunity to give you guys more of the content that you already love. If you want to support the show long term, check us out. Patreon.com/RunEatDrinkPodcast.
Or if you use Podbean, you can write in the app, tap on the reward button right at the top. You get the same special perks, all the same exact levels. Same as patreon.com/RunEatDrinkPodcast if you want to take advantage of it there. As always, we thank everyone for all the ways you support the Run Eat Drink podcast.
Let's talk drinks.
Oh,
We decided to go with something more spirited.
we did.
You know what I did there?
I see what you did. We covered amazing beer the last time we were in Anchorage.
Oh, we really did.
And just like in Florida, we are so fortunate to have such a wealth of outstanding local independent breweries.
Yes.
And up there, that's where some of the bonus content is coming from. And this time we decided, hey, so they make great beer. Let's check out what they do locally with spirits, like you said. And so we headed to Anchorage Distillery, and it did not disappoint walking right in the door.
No, this place, the space
Beautiful.
is so unassuming when you're there from the outside. It's in an industrial park.
Yeah.
So you're not really expecting what you're going to get when you walk in. So it looks like a metal facade building.
Oh, yeah.
You open the door and it's instantly you're in like a log cabin lodge.
You are transformed. You are transported. I just want to stay there,
Yeah.
you know.
You were complimenting them on their choice of wood for their flooring.
Everything, and you can see into the rick house and that, and then the bar is just this small bar right up front, and it just felt so homey and
inviting. It was really inviting. Our bartender was fantastic. She did a great job talking to us about the cocktails that they had to offer and the ones that she made for us.
we should have gotten a bottle of the bourbon.
And then we learned that they were venturing into brown liquors.
And we were going to miss the release by a week.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were like, we're missing out on that, but what do you have now? Oh, we have vodkas.
Yeah. And we have gin.
And we have gin.
So let's go.
Okay.
I have to tell you, we could avail ourselves of having a tasting the way that the rules and laws are set up.
Yes.
Yeah. We could have a tasting of all of their different types of vodka and gin. What, two ounce?
I think it's yeah.
Was it?
It was a certain number of ounces if you wanted to do just the tasting of the spirits or two cocktails.
Or two cocktails. Or you could have a cocktail and a tasting.
Half of a tasting.
Right?
Yeah, I think something like that. Basically, because they don't have a kitchen.
You could do a tasting and a cocktail or two cocktails.
Okay.
A 3-spirit flight. Yes.
So that is purely because of the laws in Alaska.
And because they don't serve food.
and because they don't serve food.
But
We opted for cocktails.
that's okay, because it's just great.
And we found food. So
We did.
Talk about the cocktail. Give us the first one.
So I started off savory. And it's listed on the menu as a ghost pepper Bloody Mary, but they will do it with tomato or clamato.
Yeah.
And I was feeling a Letterkenny vibe.
Something, a little taste of Canada, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's their ghost pepper vodka, house Bloody Mary mix, or with clamato. And it was it was garnished with a pickle. Because who doesn't like a pickle?
Exactly.
I mean, and asparagus. So that must have been in season. So it was spicy, but not too much. And the tomato, clamato flavor, I loved it. It was in a nice tall glass. What kind of glass do you call those?
Highball.
Highball. Was a highball glass? No. What is that tall glass that you normally see a frozen drink in?
Oh, I'm sorry, a hurricane.
Yeah, hurricane glass. That's it. Sorry, I
knew it had an H.
I was drawing a blank at the moment.
I knew it began with an H.
And you have now saved the day. And so the ghost pepper vodka, I don't know if they have a bunch of recipes, because you can actually take this home. You can take the spirit home, but the ghost pepper vodka is just delightful. They have raspberry, they have blueberry, and they have just glacier, which is not
Their standard
flavor.
unflavored vodka.
Yeah.
Their vodka flavored vodka.
Their vodka flavored vodka. The bottle of this ghost pepper flavored vodka had a ghost pepper in it.
It did.
And
it didn't blow your doors off.
No.
Which Amy let me have a little taste. I thought it was fantastic. I was a fan. I would have enjoyed doing the spirit tasting just to see.
Yeah, we went, and then when we tried to go back, it's like when we're at the beginning of a work week here on a Monday when breweries are closed and we're sad.
Yes.
Yeah. So talk about your cocktail.
Yeah. So the cocktail that I went with was an homage to the TV show Rick and Morty, and this is called the Pickle Rick, and this is made with Aurora Gin, the Fever Tree Light Tonic, their Bloody Mary mix, pickle juice, and fresh lime. And their house-made Aurora Gin, I was very intrigued, and when I smelled it, the description on their website says, to honor Alaska's history as the 49th state, we craft this gin at 49% ABV. We distill our gin from barley grown in Alaska's rugged interior, not far from Denali's snowy peak. The far north's midnight sun and the rich soil, along with the Tanana and Delta rivers, nourish these grains, giving them their characteristic Alaskan flavor. We finish it with glacier fresh water and botanicals inspired by the colors of the Aurora Borealis, and they use juniper, cardamom, coriander, lemon, and orange. And what a unique flavor profile that is. I love the fact that it had a hint of the juniper, and then it didn't blow your doors off with the juniper. A lot of times, especially really floral gins, they get, it's almost perfumey when you overdo it with juniper.
Yeah.
Now, they do describe it as being smooth and malty, resinous juniper, balanced citrus with hints of baking spice. And I think that's from the cardamom. And cardamom's a very unique spice. My first exposure ever to cardamom was in Turkish coffee. If you ever get a cup of classically prepared Turkish coffee, it'll usually have a cardamom seed in the bottom of the pot. And it's just that one seed, but it's almost this, it's almost
ever had Turkish coffee.
A lemony, it's a unique flavor, all of its own, but it is, I think, so smart to use it in gin. And I was just very impressed with this gin overall. This drink, I expected to finish much more on the savory side, and it had a bit of a sweetness to it that I wasn't fully expecting, because it really sounds like basically a pickly.
You expected a pucker factor?
I expected it to be more to lean into the tartness and the savoriness. Yeah. And it had a more of a sweet kick to it that I wasn't expecting. And that's from the Fever Tree Light Tonic. Phenomenal. This was such a balanced cocktail.
I loved your drink. It did not lean too heavily into the pickle. It's like mine didn't lean too heavily into the waxy, peppery flavor.
Where it almost becomes a gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This was just the right balance of the pepper flavor.
Yeah, and for me, this was a unique balance of sweet and tart and floral, and you had the aromatics that they talk about in the gin, and then you had a little hit of lime from the fresh lime juice that they squeezed in there. Everything balanced really well with this. It was fantastic. I was so impressed with this place. I really was.
So, well, the setting was gorgeous, and just the cocktails were amazing. Mm-hmm. So much so that we had to.
We did.
Each one of us had to. And so, am I going?
You're going.
I am? Okay. Yours is unique, so it's good that we end with yours. I had one of our bartender's creations called a Porch Swing. So, raspberry vodka, white tea, peach syrup, fresh lemon. I love green tea, black tea. I don't know that I have so much white tea. Because black tea leaves a dry aftertaste when you have it. From the tannins, almost like red wine. Mm-hmm. This white tea just highlighted the peach and the fresh lemon. I almost felt like we should be in Georgia, and this should have been in a mason jar.
Oh, that would have been perfect.
You know what I mean?
That would have been a great presentation of that drink, too.
It would, because it's, hey, you're all the way up here in the Great White North, and you're having a taste of the South. This was not, the ghost pepper vodka was used in my previous drink in the Caesar that I had. This Porch Swing uses the raspberry vodka. The raspberry. So they have, you can actually order their spirits in variety packs.
They ship?
They ship.
Yes. In fact, we have an order coming.
We do. Eventually.
I think they put it in the slowest, pack mule coming from the 49th state.
It's coming. It's just, you just have to be patient.
Oh, I'm patient.
Yeah.
This will be one of those things where I won't be thinking about it, and all of a sudden I'll go to the post office and be like, hey, look at what arrived.
Yeah. And it'll be a nice surprise.
It will.
When it gets here. So their flavorings here, we distill our vodka from barley grown in Alaska's rugged interior, not far from Denali's snowy peak. The far north's midnight sun and rich soil nourish these grains, giving them their characteristic Alaskan flavor. We add natural raspberry flavor and finish it with glacier fresh water. Fresh raspberry distillation and natural flavors, no added sugar.
Which, by the way, that makes all the difference in the world for them to use a fresh raspberry distillation, basically like a concentrated raspberry puree.
Yeah.
As opposed to artificial raspberry flavoring, which doesn't taste anything like actual raspberries. And if you Google where artificial raspberry flavoring comes from, you'll never have it again.
Yeah. So favorite pairings with this The tasting notes are tart and sweet with subtle floral notes. So I just think the peach, the raspberry, the lemon, the tea, it was like having a taste of the South up there. And they say it's tart and sweet, subtle floral notes. I didn't get it overly floral, like you were talking about with gin. You know how it can go too far.
Oh, yeah.
Not too far at all. Delightfully balanced cocktail. And they say you can pair this with grapefruit, lemon, elderflower, pineapple, peach, cranberry, hibiscus, this particular vodka that they have.
No, I like that they do that, though. They give you some tasting notes and pairing suggestions.
And recipes.
They actually have a great website.
Yeah, I really like it. I really like it. Cocktails that are organized by spirit. So you could say, hey, I have their ghost pepper. What can I do with that? Mm-hmm. Or raspberry. What can I do with that? So we'll link to it in the show notes so you can explore.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, last but not least, I went way off the reservation for me. This is just not the type of thing I would normally get, but I was so curious about it, the way that I got to talking with our bartender about the decision that they made with it. I said, this is very interesting. And this is a drink called the Barbie Girl.
Are you hearing it? Are you hearing it?
That earworm, that song, you're just going to have to
now. Yeah.
We're not going to play it here because we'll get muted, but go play that song on your favorite music app and get it out of your head.
Uh-huh.
You're welcome. This is another one made with their Aurora gin, watermelon syrup, lemon juice, and Aquafaba.
And what is that? Because when we saw that on the menu, I was like, what is that? And you knew what it was?
I did.
And I did not.
Yeah, Aquafaba is if you are cooking chickpeas and you, like say, I make them in the Instant Pot, the water that is left over after you have cooked chickpeas is Aquafaba. And the reason that this is often used in cocktails is when bars and restaurants are looking for an alternative to using egg whites in cocktails. A lot of people have egg allergies.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of times bars don't like to use fresh eggs to make cocktails because they're afraid of foodborne illness. They will use a dehydrated powdered egg white product instead. This is a vegan alternative that allows them to get the same consistency in terms of a creamier mouthfeel and the nice thick froth on top of the cocktail.
It was gorgeous
when they shake it. And this thing comes served with a dehydrated lemon slice, but it is a cloudy, bright pink. It's Barbie Dream Jeep pink. There's no way around it. There's no way to...
You ordered something called Barbie Girl.
Yeah, I knew what I was getting into.
I know.
And
I think it's funny.
And this basically was a grown-up watermelon Jolly Rancher in a drink.
And when you described the Aquafaba, I bet that, like, initially, I was thinking, oh, this is not going to taste right. But it was so good.
Yeah, I
was like, shut up here. Let's share.
Yeah, she actually was co-opting my drink.
I did.
But I don't think that the Aquafaba really impacts the flavor so much, but it does a great job at giving you, again, the mouthfeel and the visual of that foam on top of the drink. Typically, when you see a cocktail that has egg white in it, the reason they do that is when you shake the cocktail in a cocktail shaker with the egg white in there, it froths. You're basically making a very quick, almost a meringue, very quickly.
Yeah.
So this is just a great alternative to doing the egg white. And the drink was fantastic. A watermelon Jolly Rancher is exactly what that comes across as in terms of the flavor profile. They did a great job with this beverage.
And I think it was very balanced because you could be heavy-handed with any one of those ingredients. So.
You could. You could either knock your socks off with the gin, it would be too floral. You could overdo it with the watermelon syrup and it would be too sweet. You could overdo it with the lemon juice and it would be too tart.
So this was perfect.
Perfect.
I just wanted to go back the next day, but they were closed.
Yeah.
So sad.
Next time.
Okay.
And speaking of next time.
Yeah. We are at the end of our show, friends.
We are. This is an extra large episode this week. Thank you for sticking with us. We are incredibly excited to have you guys along for the ride. We are so thrilled to be able to talk about a travel race.
Yeah.
And we're finally getting back out there.
So next week, we recap a fantastic virtual.
Celebrating Rob Nadeau.
Yeah. So if you haven't signed up for it, I don't know. Well, we'll still link to it here in our show notes for this episode. So if you want to support organizations and causes that were near and dear to Rob's heart, then like St. Christopher's Truckers Relief Fund and Coke Trucking, then you can go to the link and you can see if there are still spots available.
We hope that you'll consider doing that. Rob was an amazing guy and a huge part of the Runcation Nation. And we recently lost him, and we want to support him, the causes that were important to him and his family. And they've worked hard to get this virtual together, and we're hopeful that we can get as many of the Runcation Nation as possible out there running it for him.
This week, it celebrates Truck Driver Appreciation Week, which culminates in his birthday. We had a couple of patron birthdays this month. John Schroeder just on the 9th of September, and the end of Truck Driver Appreciation Week. It will culminate in what would have been Rob's 57th birthday. So it's a great cause. We will link to it in our show notes and can't wait to recap that and where we did it and what we humbly tried to capture in the same way that Rob's photos have always inspired us to see the world.
That's next week. So until then, guys, thank you for joining us on your long run, your short run, around the house, or wherever you might be.
I'm your host, Amy.
And I'm your co-host, Dana.
Stay safe, stay well, and we will accomplish, explore, and indulge with you really soon. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We're having another great year thanks to your support. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We're at Run, Eat, Drink Podcast. And on Twitter, we're Run, Eat, Drink Pod. You can also give us a call at 941-677-2733 or send us an email at info@runeatdrink.net. Visit our website at runeatdrink.net and click on the subscribe link so you don't miss a minute. Find out how you can support the show at patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast. Accomplish, explore, and indulge right along with us. We'll talk to you next time.